Hello, welcome back to GOT. Today we're going to talk about Apple and its ever-changing platforms. I'll tell you, this year is going to be their biggest change ever. Let's talk about it. As we know, this last year, Apple came out with some really new different designs with their iPhones, specifically the iPhone Pro and, of course, the iPhone Air, which didn't do so well. And this year, they're actually going to really double down their focus on the iPhone Pro, where they don't need to with the standard iPhone. And here's why. During the last year, which of course is 2025, the focus on Apple products has really changed the dynamics a little bit. The standard iPhone has become more popular than any of their other phones, even the Pros, where this year they've increased from 14% of the market share up to 20% on their standard phone versus their iPhone Pro. Of course, the Air did like 2%. It didn't really do well at all. But I think because of that, their focus this next year has changed a little bit, knowing that this has been the biggest selling iPhone over the last year, and it looks like going into this year. So the reason for this is simply because in the 16 series, of course, which came out in 2024, which was what dominated in 2025, came out with the A18 series chip, which is the first time they put the same series chip in the standard that they did on the Pro, because the Pro model, of course, we know had the A18 Pro, but at least they put the A18, the same chip, instead of a year-old chip in it. So they're saying that's what empowered this thing to actually boost in sales. And they did the same thing this last year in the new iPhone 17s. They went ahead and put the same chip, which is the A19, in the newer standard phone. So all rumors lead to they're taking a year off on the standard phone, and they're focusing strictly on the iPhone Pro models for 2026. So the iPhone 18 Pro is coming out. Of course, alongside of that, it's going to be the first iPhone Fold. They may call it an Ultra if it's going to come out with the other premium phones. Now, according to FPT, which is Front Page Tech, the iPhone 19 Pro and Pro Max is going to do a lot of changes compared to the last few years, and unrecognizable changes other than the exterior bar. Where the most change is going to happen is on the cameras. Let's explain. Now, as we know that Apple has had this island for quite some time now, and they've recently, of course, added the island to the standard iPhones as well, even the Air, and they promote it as a great feature, but I think a lot of folks are really seeing that and just seeing it as something that's in the way. So Apple is remedying that this year in the Pro models. They're taking this bar and putting it into a small punch out on the left side. And what they're going to do is they're going to take the Face ID cameras, they're putting them underneath the screen. So we're not losing Face ID, they're just restructuring it, which is funny because we know all of our Chinese manufacturers are chasing Apple all the time with even putting the dynamic island on their phones. Companies like Oppo, Vivo, and even Honor. Matter of fact, Honor this year is they're taking this punch hole and turning it into a dynamic island on their Magic 8 Pro, which is kind of funny. That's coming out this year when Apple is going to take away the dynamic island. So they're going to keep all of our Chinese manufacturers kind of off balance with all these moves. Now, and they're not only changing that on the front camera, but they're also taking another look at their cameras with a manual aperture. And what I mean by that is the aperture, as you can see here on this video from FPT, is that they are going to put in an aperture that actually opens and closes, allows manually the amount of light you want in for the different photo, which will actually give you a better picture and hopefully avoid all those overexposed photos with all the big white blasts that you might see if it's bright out. So hopefully that'll help. And with Apple relying more on the manual, the old way of doing things, AI is not going to take as big a role in your photography with the iPhone, which might be appealing to a lot of people. Now, that's not to say they're completely eliminating AI in their processing, because I'm sure they're going to have to use a lot of it. But using that aperture is really going to change the dynamic of how the phone works or the camera works on the phone. Whereas these other manufacturers are going with pixels and zooms and different AI features to manage the photography, Apple's taking just a little bit different approach this year. Now, those of you that have bought the standard iPhone and made it so popular this last year, you're thinking, wait a minute, we got such great sales, they're going to ignore us this year? Well, that's one theory. My theory is they're probably going to separate the release. You know, we've got Samsung. What do? They release their standard phones or even their flagship phones, such as the S26 Ultra. They release those in what, February, March timeframe, and then the foldables in the summer. And it looks like it's going to be pushed down a little further, maybe towards August, September. Well, I think the Apple's probably going to take kind of the same formula there. I'm betting that they're going to release the new standard phones probably at the beginning of next year. So if you remember way back in the beginning, Apple used to separate their phones. They did release some in the end of the summer and some towards the middle of the year. And back in the beginning, they had their standard series and then they had their S series. Remember those? And we believe the first one was called an S because it was the first one to have Siri. Well, it may be that they're going to go back to that same model of releasing twice a year. So in other words, the Pros and the Folds at one time and the standard phone and maybe tablets during another portion. Now that's just Mark here at GOT making that up, and guessing because we really don't know. I don't see them completely ignoring this phone for a year. But with Tim Cook stepping out of the helm and the lead of Apple, who knows what's going to happen? And it's my guess again that they are going to announce the new iPhones and the new technology as well as the Fold with the new CEO in September or August. Because rumor is the board kind of wants Tim Cook to step down mid-year this year. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. So what do you think? What do you think of Apple's move in the new iPhone Pro series and what they're going to move forward with, and leaving the standard iPhone behind, as far as we know, in the next release, simply because Apple wants to separate the Pro models even further from the standard models? Because, when they did release them together, we did complain, why isn't this one getting some of the hardware that you're getting here? Maybe by separating them, we won't see it so much. And then the fact that Apple is actually changed the things up to kind of mess with the Chinese rivals that are trying to chase them. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, we mentioned the iPhone Fold. If that's something you're interested in and you're excited about that coming out, check out this video here. Until next time, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on further content. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.